Good day and welcome to Orchid season 2021, and I'm in a woodland with bluebells, but I'm in Kent. Kent was where I wanted to start last season, but the pandemic screwed that up. Wasn't going to do that this year, so I'm down here again to start the season. It's really early, it's really early. It's a few days before the end of April, very little is in flower, but I'm down for the Early Spider Orchid first and foremost. I've seen them before in Dorset, never seen them in Kent. There's more of them in Kent than there is in Dorset, so I will find them somewhere. That's my main target. Beyond that, green winged orchid, early purple orchid, they'll both be in flower somewhere. We'll find those too. Beyond that, it's a case of being lucky. I would absolutely love to see a lady orchid. This is their spiritual home, Kent, but we're about 2 weeks too early, so I'm going to have to catch one really early. But we will be going to sites that have lady orchids, so if they are in flower, we'll catch them. Fly orchids a possibility, the rest not yet. So I think it's a maximum of 5 we could see. As long as I see early spider, green winged, early purple, I'll be happy. But down here for 3 days, weather looks pretty decent, and we're going to give the place a good going over to see what we can find. Good morning. About 7:30 and about 6 degrees above freezing, but it's a lovely quiet morning for day 2 of our tour. I'm at Park Gate Down. Park Gate Down is famous for military orchid, which we will not see today. Exceptionally rare plant for later in the season, but early purple orchid, green winged orchid, that's what it says in the book, and that's what we're going to be looking for. After this one, we're going to be heading over to the jewel in the crown for this tour, which is Samphire Hoe on the coast, in search of early spider orchid. This was supposed to be tomorrow's itinerary, but yesterday was such a damp squib, really. I mean, nothing really worked yesterday, so I need a good day today. So hopefully this will start proceedings off well, but Samphire Hoe will certainly be a success, I'm guaranteeing that one. But let's go find some early purple orchids and green winged orchids maybe. Well, at least we found something. Well, done another couple of miles this morning. It's a roll on from yesterday, really. Where are they all? Well, you'll have seen from those early purple orchids, and they are here. If you get down low, you suddenly see glints of reddish purple, early purple orchids, but they're all just coming through. You get the odd one that's nearly in full flower, but most of them, as you saw, are still 10 days away. I don't know why. Conditions compared with last year, dry, same as last year. They've had these frosts, and maybe that's the reason they're delayed here, but you know, they've been photographed as flowering further north than here. They should be in flower, so I can't really explain why they seem so late, certainly on this site. So there's a few little ones. I'll grab whatever I see, but yeah, another disappointing start. I think I need to race on to Samphire Hoe as soon as possible, because that's my banker. Welcome to Samphire Hoe. Yeah, it's just the jewel in the crown of this tour, because this should be where the early spider orchids are at their most prominent, so can't tolerate any failure today or I'm going home. Just got to find where to go. Fantastic place. It's a sort of man-made peninsula made with the outworkings or the outdiggings of the Channel Tunnel, which is going on somewhere pretty close to under me now, but this is where all the soil that was dug out when they were making the Channel Tunnel was dumped, placed, whatever you want to call it, and it's been colonised very, very quickly because it's very chalky, and orchids love that. So yeah, we'll head off and try and find which direction to find the early spider orchids and find them. There you have it, a Samphire Hoe early spider orchid, and there's not many, and these are very, very difficult to find. Well, the day's been saved really by the site warden, or one of the site wardens, who was walking around. I happened to bump into her. She knew I was looking for something and struggling, and she said basically they've been decimated here, the early spider orchids. There's normally hundreds if not more, and she said there's no more than a dozen or so that's been seen so far, and they should be in full season. She said it's probably the cold weather, frosts and whatever, plus the dry weather as well, but she thinks it's mainly the cold. But without her help we wouldn't have seen anything today, so I take my hat off to her for pointing out the small numbers that she'd spotted on the way round. Thank heaven she did. can't really count this one, but that will be, or is, a lady orchid in bud, but not in flower. There's a few of these rosettes around here, so be a good sight in a week or two's time. Tway blade, again in bud, not in flower, if you can call it a flower. But yeah, common tway blade down there. Oh, early purple orchid, no less. That's actually quite a nice flower. Probably the best thing I've seen down here. Nice. Another nice one. On a bit of a roll now. You know what? I'm going to claim that. It's got a flower on it. That is a lady orchid. It's only just opening, but it has a flower on it. I can claim that one. Lovely. Good morning to day 3, third and final day on the Kent tour, and green winged orchids is really top of the list today because I've not seen any at all. Marston Meadows is one of Kent's finest, supposedly finest, green winged orchid sites. So yeah, that's all we're looking for at this one, but it should be good. Although I haven't seen any yet, but it should be good. I'm told they're already in flower, so we're going to have a good wander around this one and see what the best of the Marston Meadows green winged orchids look like. There you go, got one. Well, certainly purple is the colour so far, as they should be. Hopefully there'll be a bit of variation somewhere around one of the fields. Well, I've been through 2 of the fields and seen about 10 green-winged orchids in total so far. All of them the stereotypical rich purple. I've now come down to the third field and it looks different already. Volume wise it's up. I've probably seen 20 in this field already. 100% dark purple, so going to have to work hard here to find any sort of variation, but there's certainly a lot more in this field than there are in the other two, so yeah, looking up. Certainly decent numbers in this field. Just need to find something that isn't, as you can see, the same tone of purple. I'm sure we'll find something. Well, it's no Meadows, but I reckon so far I've seen about 2,000, possibly getting on for 3,000, and they're all like these shades of dark purple. But yeah, it's great to be somewhere that isn't a dry, chalky slope that's supposed to have this but doesn't. You know, Marston, Meadows has green-winged orchids, definitely thousands of them. And it just makes a nice change on a lovely morning like this to be surrounded by lots of what I should be surrounded by. Really good, really good. That's a nice green-winged orchid. Well, there you go. It's not open yet, not really. That's going to be a pink in the foreground, and that's the first non-dark purple that I've seen on this site, and I think I've just passed 1,000, if not 2,000 mark now in terms of the numbers. Yeah, it's a pity. Give it another week and that would be a full-on genuine pink green-winged orchid. Well, it's different. It's still purple, but it's not as rich a purple as the others, so I'd call that a bit of a variation on the norm. Good to see. Well, that will definitely be a pink. It definitely is a pink. It's only about 10, 15, 20% open. They may be 99.9% dark purple, but some of them are just the most rich and most luxurious velvety purple I think I've ever seen anywhere. Very impressive, intense colouring. Well, we're coming to the end now. I think we're on the last of the fields. I mean, it's a very highly spoken about site for green-winged orchids down here, which I think generally speaking are quite rare in this part of the country, which is why it's quite highly rated. And it's impressive. I mean, in terms of numbers, I was trying to work it out. I reckon I've seen 3,000 to 5,000, and I think you can probably double that. You know, most of the ones I'm seeing are still in bud. There's probably only about 10% in full flower, another 20% part of the way there, and most of the rest are still in bud. So there could easily be 10,000 on this site, which is a match for anything I've seen anywhere. And they're evenly spread across the last two fields that I've seen. The only thing I would say, obviously, is they're all purple. There's hardly any variation at all. But it's still a fantastic site. Very, very just nicely preserved, well looked after. in the middle of nowhere. There's no one here, and on a lovely morning like this I can quite happily wander amongst 5,000 plus green-winged orchids in search of something that is different. But yeah, it's great. It makes a change to come somewhere where I'm surrounded by what I should be surrounded by, and yeah, cracking sight. This should be the last site visit of the tour. We're just entering Denge Wood. We're going through here in an effort to try and find a little enclosed area called the Bonsai Bank, and it's supposed to be one of, if not the best, lady orchid site in Kent. Now obviously, as we've seen, lady orchid are not quite in flower, but I figured if there's quite a lot of them, that 1% chance of one being just about in flower might become 2%. So it's got to be worth seeing. And it's also, you know, if I can see the rosettes and I can see the numbers and I can work out where they are, then if I do make another mad dash down here in a few weeks' time, I'll know where to come to. So it's, yeah, Bonsai Bank and lady orchids. Come on. Right, is this Bonsai Bank? There's no signposts, but it's roughly in the right area. Oh, an early purple orchid, no less. I think that's a lady orchid, and I think that's another one. Not even a sign of a flower. Even the early purples aren't even in full flower here. This place is awash with lady orchid rosettes all over the place. There's going to be, I think, well, these are weeks away, so it will be spectacular, but not anytime soon. Incredible number of lady orchid rosettes. They're all over the place. This will be a very special spot in about a month's time. Well, because there's so many of these, I started to wonder whether I was calling them lady orchids, and they weren't. But this one's actually got a flower stalk on, and it's got a very distinctive colouring. Most definitely is a lady orchid. That's a big one. In full flower. Now then, on this bank I've just come to, they're far more advanced. This one's probably a week to 10 days away from flowering. Oh, what an amazing sight. I mean, it's not often I say that when I don't actually see the orchid I'm looking for, in this case a lady orchid, but I mean, it just blew me away, the numbers. There must be, I mean, I don't exaggerate, but 300 to 500, but you could probably double that of a very rare orchid here. I mean, you know, I was not sure about coming back here again in a few weeks' time, but today's sorted that one out. I have to see these in flower. This will be incredibly spectacular. Just blown away. I thought a couple of dozen maybe, but 300 to 500 and more. I've got to see those in flower. Really, really have. I will be back. Well, that's it. Heading back to base now and then home tomorrow, so that's the last trip out. Yeah, not quite sure what to make of the week really. I mean, I saw the target species that I came for, so I can't say it wasn't a success. The key was the early spider, and I got that, but only just. Without the help of that warden, I honestly think I wouldn't have seen it, and I would have been mortified. In fact, I'd have probably driven down to Dorset because I wasn't going to go home without seeing them. Small numbers of everything, and I think the main reason for that is the drought and the frosts, because the farmers down here are all saying on the news that everything is running behind by, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks. Because of that, we need these frosts to stop and salvage the season really for these early flowers. So numbers are small, but I think also something I've learnt about Kent is it's a place for choice orchids, not so much places where you could see hundreds and thousands of a particular type. You know, you've got your military orchid, your monkey orchid, your lady orchids, early spider, late spider. Everything's in relatively small numbers, and it's just a different way of orchid hunting, I think, down here. So what I have learnt is where some of these are going to flower, because the reserves down here are huge, and it's not a case of parking your car, jumping into a field the size of a football pitch, because the reserves are like 2 or 3 miles square, and if you don't know where you're looking for the orchids, and I don't, I mean, it's a needle in a haystack on a good day. So, but I've learnt, just as I've come to this fantastic spot here, I know now where these orchids are going to flower. So if I come back down again, and I think having just seen what I've just seen, I am coming back down again, I'll be able to target more accurately the places to go and where in those places to go to see what I want to see. So I will be back. It's been an interesting few days, and I look forward to getting home really and doing the early season tour of green-winged orchid tour, which we'll do next week, and an early purple tour, which we'll also do next week. And yeah, I look forward to that now.